Thursday, May the 18th, 2023, and an unusual walk today. I'm re-walking a walk I did in 2010, which was unfortunately back in that day recorded in 2 parts and is long overdue a re-film. So here we are, doing a Faversham to Whitstable walk, which is the way I did it originally, but today I'm doing it in reverse because of the prevailing wind, which isn't great but is sufficient possibly to cause an issue. It's in a northeasterly-easterly direction today, so consequently it'll be following me as opposed to walking against it. So that's the reason why I'm using the GPX track today to do this walk in reverse. It's a Saturday Walkers Club walk, number 12, swcwalk12, or what used to be known as swcwalk12. And another reason why I've come down here to re-walk this one is because of the very favourable weather. Blue sky all day today down here, which is wonderful. So I might get a suntan by the end of the walk, particularly with the breeze. So like I say, long time since I've done this walk. Let's see what awaits. No church stop for lunch because there isn't one on the coast, so I'm not sure where I'll be having that, but around 5 mile in, because this is a 10-mile walk today, so somewhere around a 5-mile walk. It's now 1:45, late start, but ASLEF are on strike, so there's only an hourly service on most train lines today, so getting home might be a bit dubious. 2.5 hour trip down here. Let's press on. Now straight away I'm going to vary the start of this walk because the GPX track starts on the other side from platform 2. So I'm going to do a variant with it which looks more interesting on the map. It will get us to the same starting point during the GPX track anyway. So coming away from the station, I'm joining this residential road here, and I'm going to join a pathway on my right shortly, hopefully, which passes a church. So in fact what I'm going to do is go right at Cromwell Road here to the seafront, and that'll get me on the Saxon Shoreway, passing a co-op if needed, passing a former Masonic temple, and then St Peter's Church House. It looks like an interesting building dating back to 1905. Search that online if you'd like to know more. St Peter's Church House, Whitstable. And then very quickly we're down at the harbour side. So that's taken me about 6 minutes. So I'm not quite sure why the creator of the walk, Andrew probably, has decided to go south of the railway station and come through a residential area when it could be done the way I've done it. Or if you're doing it from Faversham, finishing that way. It's a lot more attractive this way, I think. Also the walk hasn't been updated since 2016, so clearly it's in need of an update anyway, the notes that is, which you can find as usual by googling the walk title. Information panel here about tides and navigation. And as you can see in the background here, the flag is blowing pretty briskly, so the wind's a bit stronger than I anticipated today. I was told gusts of 15-16 mile an hour, which is bearable. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully there won't be any noise interference. A little bit of history here about the Thames barges and Whitstable Harbour. Remnants of the local fishing fleet here. Oysters obviously prevailing, and an information panel to that effect. Whelks, oysters, probably contaminated oysters these days, mercury, etc. Wouldn't touch them myself. Don't touch any seafood really. Information panel about the whelks and fishing them. Now, unlike the last time when I did this walk back in 2010, we didn't have an English coast path, but it pretty much follows the Saxon shoreway.
But he was still really puffy.
Now, as you can see, it's presently high tide by the looks of it. I didn't check earlier, but clearly we don't have to. It's visible. Now, is that Essex over there or the Isle of Sheppey? Not sure of my bearings at the minute. Soon find out when I get further out of town. Seen the yacht club. Self-explanatory. I'm sure these were here last time. Piles of oyster shells here. I think I filmed this last time. Probably the same pile. So a mile in and we approach the old Neptune, which on the Faversham variant is suggested as a tea time stop. Obviously the way I'm doing it, it's a bit too early for anything. Not many pubs on this walk, but there you go. There you go, Saxon Shoreway and the England Coast Path. It is actually, as I've commented on previous walks, a lot busier with people midweek these days. 2.5 million unemployed, cost of living crisis. Yeah, it doesn't seem to affect a certain percentage of the population. There's a fair element of retirees there for sure, but not all of them. There's even kids in there. Bit perturbing, the direction the country's currently taking, I feel. Now, just as the cow parsley's come out in the country lanes, this is the sea variant, whose name escapes me. Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? Can't remember off the top of my head. Cracking morning, around 17 degrees at the moment, upper 60s. Brilliant. And that island, by the way, is Hartley or Sheppey, and this is the Isle of Hearty end. And I notice there's even some wind farms over there. Shocking things. Got a number of floodgates on the sea wall, which I'm following at the moment. And they're probably going to be needed in the not too distant with rising sea levels. So these very twee houses behind me are under threat, just like they are on the Norfolk coast from sand slip. Can't be without the old beach huts at the seaside. Not sure where that is, but it's closed today anyway. Possibly this chalet park, I don't know. A more extensive run of chalets here, and the coast path deviates from the actual coast through that gap there up onto the seawall. Got the railway line just over there on my left, not too far away from us here. And appropriately a train passes by. So we come away from the coast again, turning left up Sherring's Alley, passing the Rose in Bloom pub, which has a nice garden with good sea views. Walking back over the rail line, which we crossed via that footbridge just visible in the distance a few minutes ago. So because the tide is up high, you can't take the shoreline walk today. So although this is indicated as a private estate, the OS map shows that there is a public right of way through here, as well as on the beach. That's the shoreline walk that you can take from Whitstable. And I've just come down this grassy bank from the entrance to this private estate, through this kissing gate and back on the England coast path. Another array of wind farms out there just to the northeast of Whitstable, and I'm now looking northeast, so hence the wind is blowing at us, as you may be able to hear. Not much wildlife to be seen today, so this was a surprise. Pretty realistic eagle owl up there. Keep the gulls away, no doubt. Whether it works or not, I doubt, because the starling is just flown off the same pole that that's on. Another very pleasant seashore flower here. See if I can get a bit on this. Yeah, there's the leaves. If anyone knows what that is. Anyone want to buy a luxury modern chalet down in Seasalter? Used to be a set of toilets there. No more. Country's going down this, if you excuse the pun, the pan. It really is. You've got either a pub or a restaurant over there, near the toilet block. The Oyster Pearl. Very much chalet country here, as we get into a slightly more rural area now. Okay, the Saxon Shoreway and the England Coast Path deviate here, with the coast path going down these new steps alongside the chalets and out across that water meadow there, and the Saxon Shoreway, which is the GPX track, is through these few houses ahead of us, so I'll stick with that. Though having said that, there is no footpath, so maybe I will stick with the coast path So we're walking alongside Seasalter levels, lowland wet grassland. So it's been acquired by the RSPB, and there's an array of birds that can be seen. It's been flooded as well, kind of sea defence. Excellent. Very surprised not to hear a cuckoo down here, to be honest. No swallows or martins either. There are reed warblers, as we heard down in South East a couple of weeks ago on the South Downs. Lovely to see how this has been opened up again and turned into what it is currently. Certainly brings the birds back. So by following the coast path diversion off the original GPS track, much better, I'd say. That's why the route really needs updating, I feel. Previously you would have had to have walked along this road, which is quite busy, with no footpath. Now it's a simple case of following the coast path signage, and we're back on the coast. Potential lunchtime spot there. It's the sort of thing I'm going to have to grab today. A seat. Now that's just gone 2 o'clock, but I'll press on a bit further because I'm not 4 mile in yet. And then for some reason we come off after a couple of 100 yards. Sure, I walked along there previously. Let's find out what goes on. So we're now following a path on the landward side of the seawall. Chalets on my left. So there's a new toilet block, probably to replace the others, which are probably about 3/4 of a mile behind me now. So I'm about coming up 4 mile into the walk, so that'll be around 6 from Faversham. And this section gives good relief to the joints because previous 3 mile has been pretty much seawall or residential road walking. Passing the Forget-Me-Not Cafe, which is well placed for a snack, being 4.5 from Whitby, around about 5.5 from Faversham, so almost equidistant. Passing Seasalter Sailing Club. Can just make out the golden sands of the Isle of Harty on Sheppey over there. Never been over there. Must check it out sometime. Passing the Sportsman pub, which is the recommended lunchtime stop. However, there are some comments on the walk notes about whether it is actually worthwhile. Might be a bit anti-walker now or something, I read. Anyway, you can see the notes online. There are a couple of old picnic tables down there, but not much else in the way of a garden from looking at it. So yeah, it'd be a shame if it was anti-walker because it's well positioned on the walk. But and more people are walking, obviously. Seen loads today. Now entering Kent Wildlife Trust's South Swale local nature reserve, which is being grazed by cattle. Well out of my way though. So there you go. Coast on my right, grazing lands on the left. So it's 3 o'clock now at still on South Swale Local Nature Reserve, Castle Coot, and the old marsh harrier apparently resides here. Plovers. But I'm going to take my lunch here. As I say, it's 3 o'clock. It's just a case of plonking myself down on the grass, I reckon. Not much else for it. 3:30, lunch has been had. Looking back at Whitstable, as I say, we're about halfway round the walk now, 5.5 mile in. Tide is on its way out, as you can hear by that, I think it's an oyster catcher in the background, along with a small helicopter. So as I say, 3:30, time to press on. And there you can see, tide has moved quickly out and the birds move in. Window of opportunity to feed. Interesting shot of the Dartford Road Bridge there, which I've only ever driven over once. Not my cup of tea. Good to see. Got some rams in there as well by the looks of it. The black sheep. Castle Coot Bird Sanctuary on my right. And one thing we do know about these sheep is that they certainly won't be going off for lamb chops. They're employed to do exactly what they're doing at the minute. Happy little existence, and a natural one. Got some white throat over there somewhere. At least that's what I think it is. Because listening to bird songs on YouTube, garden warbler is very similar, and the blackcap, but I believe that to be a white throat. Looks like an oyster catcher to me, and clearly it's in the right area. Wonderful. Loads going on the left as well. I'm pretty sure it was down in this section that I heard those strange Hungarian marsh frogs. I haven't heard any today, mind you. Maybe a bit later in the season. Can't remember when I did this walk before, it might have been in the winter. But in any case, it wasn't this particular walk, it was in this area on these marshes, but I think it was a tame to Faversham, can't remember which, or Whitstable. Yeah, and that was done much more recently. I think when I originally walked this walk in 10, the marsh frogs weren't so commonplace. Looks like an old wreck out there. Plenty of old hulks over there. Shame about the transmission line. Pretty much follows us all the way from Whitstable. So this is Nagden Marshes on the map in the foreground here, with Whitstable yonder, and there over on my right-ish, well left as I'm walking, North Downs. And this is the start of Faversham Creek, where these hulks are. Isle of Sheppey behind me. Lovely aroma coming from the hawthorn blossom and the cow parsley. Back in cow parsley terrain now. Now leaving South Swale Nature Reserve. Onward journey ahead here. Still on the seawall. So it looks like once upon a time, and back when I walked it, you would have walked along the seawall there. But now this gate is barbed wired up, and the owners have obviously got a diversion in place. So we do a left here. Then at the end of the nice beech hedge, come to a T-junction, and the path on the left would be the shortcut across Nagden Marshes if you wish to knock a couple of kilometres off the walk. Around about 2 mile off, I think, from memory. But our onward journey's right here. Final views across Nagden Marshes here, because we're turning off right in a second. Nagden cottages on the map just behind me. Interesting, there's another warbler of some description. Or there was. Typical. Not going to make it sound now, but I didn't recognise it. Yeah, lots of walkers around now as we get on the fringes of Faversham, which I think must be where that spire is. I think that's white throat as opposed to garden warbler. I now realise that their songs are very close, but the white throat's a bit more throaty. Views over to the downs on my left as I walk into Faversham. Wonderful to see all this hawthorn blossom out. Lovely aroma right now. Look at that amazing sludge. Wouldn't want to get stuck in that. Tide is still going out, amazingly. Outskirts of Faversham still. Looking towards Nagden Farm and cottages over there, whence I've come. Arriving at the houseboats in Faversham. Little cafe here, which is currently closed. Quince Retreat, which would obviously be a decent tea time stop when doing it in this direction. Well, that's an amazing little place. Higgledy-piggledy, secret little world. People living in there, working in there, in cabins. Not dissimilar to a, what's the word? Yeah, almost Casbah-like in places. And by contrast we have signs of times past. Fertiliser supplier, which now appears to be flats. Oyster Bay House. Two contrasting developments in Faversham here. Modern one on the right, contrasting with the old fisherman buildings of the past. And the customs house behind me. Well, that in fact is another possible tea time stop. Pub of Bianco, which is still open. It's just coming up to 5. Evidence here of the former rail line. And a very pleasant little arty area. Standard quay, I believe it to be. Interesting little bit of information there. Obviously not the present property, mind you. And I've just passed the Anchor pub at the end of this street. Another possible tea time stop. That's very close to Standard Quay as well. Faversham's Royal Abbey. Not sure where that is though. Interesting use of a tree stump here. But unfortunately the brass inscription is now too faded to know what it's all about. The street that stood in is Abbey Place. These little information panels are useful. There is said house. Saxon Shoreway branches off right here. I'm going to continue straight ahead towards the town centre, following the GPX track. There's that spire I saw earlier. And that is correct. And this I do remember.
mean, not falling out.
He sat down and he went like.
Quite a few people around at the moment, so it's difficult to film stuff. So here we are, 10.8 miles, 4 hours 9 minutes later, and that was a decent rewalk. A bit different to my usual ones. Pretty much seawall with the sea on one side and marsh on the other, and pretty much it from Whitstable to Faversham here. Decent weather though, held out, fantastic. Bit residential initially and at the end, but Faversham's a very interesting town. Good place to check out a bit more if I could. But swcwalk12 completed. That's it. Till the next time.